basically just talk about Centrapay, man, and the wallet and
Yep.
stuff that you're doing.
Cool.
Before we start, what I wanted to do was, do you remember in Auckland when you gave that talk at the health conference with Tom?
Yeah, it was a while back, but I do remember it.
2 years. I'll show you this. Let me share my screen. Do you remember what you
Just when you
wore
launched
that
your
day?
book.
Yeah. Do you remember what you wore that day? Your T-shirt?
The classic.
Check that out. That one.
Such a good T-shirt.
That was pretty brave. I like it. Cool. And I was also looking at your LinkedIn profile, and I saw that. Did you go to St. Pat's?
I did. Kilburnie in Wellington.
Wow, because I went to Hutt Valley High School, and I think you were on your LinkedIn profile. It says 90 to 94, right?
Correct.
So I was 91 to 95, and
yeah, close enough.
So we're in that neighborhood. Awesome. So what gave the idea of this Coke machine, right? I mean, it's all over the media and stuff. And where did it come from?
I guess the idea for Centrapay came up in sort of 2017. I designed a way in which it would be possible to do real-time payments with digital assets, including Bitcoin. And then things kind of took off with Centrality and its ICO and ventures, and I was quite involved in a bunch of those projects, and Centrapay kind of was put on pause for a little bit as I kind of figured things out a bit more. The vending relationship is one that's pretty close to my heart. I've been in payments since the 90s, and in 2004 I did a cold call to the manufacturer of the parking machines at the time. They're called cash handling systems that put the Texapark stuff down in Wellington.
Yeah.
And I actually called up Synergy, the company prior to change its name to Frond, and said, do you want to have credit cards enabled on there? And they said, no, look, no one wants to pay with credit card. And then I went onto the company's office and I found out who one of the directors was for the manufacturer of the machine, and cold called him. And I was only, 25 years old, something like that at the time. And
You're hustling.
Yeah. And I didn't have a card because I was living in the city, and said, hey, look, you want to come in and have a conversation about credit cards? And he's like, yeah, look, would love to have credit cards on there. And so he came to our office and we had a meeting, and the vending machines are quite complex to do real-time payments.
Okay.
They often have very simple protocols as far as what they can send over an internet connection. In the case of parking machines, they have 12-volt batteries, and typically, your standard FPOS terminal or unattended terminal that you'd see on a fuel system won't work. And so you've got to be quite innovative if you want to enable a real-time payment on vending. And so we figured out how to do a very elegant user experience on the vending parking machines. Basically, I won't go into too much detail, but we made it really fast and really easy, very low power consumption, super secure, because when you're innovating, you typically are ahead of the curve as far as compliance and standards. So you have to kind of self-manage that side of things. And it worked out really well. They did a pilot in Princess Street up in Auckland by the university, and in 6 months, I think 16% of the parking machine transactions, give or take, were credit card, and about the same was Texapark. These days, it's well over 80% being credit card. A lot of people don't carry cash and that type of thing. In 2006, actually, the Coca-Cola company out of USA reached out to us, and we started having a conversation. And it turns out that they had a subsidiary out of Masterton. So
Masterton of all places.
Yeah. A guy called, I forget his name now, but Harvest was the name of his business. He used to work for Telecom, and then I think it was 1987, they sort of privatized, and a whole bunch of redundancies and all that type of stuff. And he came up with this idea where he could essentially put a dial-up. Remember when the vending machines used to have phone dial-up cables connected to
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The
Um,
what's it called? Cat 5 is internet. It was like Cat 40J or 45J or something. Yeah.
yeah, RJ45 type stuff.
RJ45. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And then prior to sort of your CDMA and 3G, they had these other uh, protocols to send very basic data over, I think they called it PACnet telecom. And
Mm.
so you could send a simple ASCII string across to a server. And essentially this company in Masterton, this guy pitched it to Telecom. They didn't sort of take it. And he did his little startup in Masterton. And it ended up being one of the largest IoT networks in the world.
Jeez.
And so Marconi ended up acquiring that company, and then Marconi went bust, I think, in 2001, give or take. And
Yeah.
Coca-Cola Amatil was one of its largest customers for these
Yeah.
vending control units. So when you communicate with a vending machine, there's a local protocol called MDB, and that's how you work out what the refrigeration is. There's an
Mm.
A1, B1, how does it talk to the money? Does it turn on, off, all that kind of stuff. The MDB is the protocol. And so they talk to these vending control units that these days have, 3G type motors into them, and they're a lot smarter and no more cable.
Yeah.
And yeah, we ended up enabling credit cards on those. And interestingly enough, I flew to Australia to meet the CIO for CCA, and so 2006, and he was into
Yeah.
it. But the finance team was like, who's going to buy a Coke with credit card? And then about a year ago, I found myself in that same building, on a similar floor, similar meeting room, saying who's going to buy stuff with Bitcoin or digital assets.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt that the future of money will be smart money, will be digital native.
Totally. Totally.
Definitely central bank digital currency. You'll be able to codify compliance into it. Do peer-to-peer payments between machines, merchants. Your car will have a wallet that will transact with a parking machine under whatever delegation you want to give to your car,
Yeah.
approvals, all that type of stuff. And CCA has been a leader in internet and payments for vending for a number of years. And they recently, well, not recently, but a few years ago, they added support for WeChat and Alipay. So they have a QR code on the machines, and when one of those apps scans it, they have the ability to identify the app looking at the user agent, and then facilitate value transfer and some interactions programmatically between Alipay, WeChat Pay, and the vending machine. And it occurred to me that if we're wanting to create a bridge between the decentralized digital asset sort of world and the more centralized traditional payment world, that you need to be a bit of a hybrid. So you need to make it easy for existing systems to integrate with you. But then obviously you also need to make it easy for those crypto wallets or other types of applications that interact with blockchains or similar to also interact with you. And because I did this stuff with CCA, with the credit cards, I had an existing relationship there. I know that they're innovative, and so I reached out to them and said, how can we sort of make this possible? And their team and Masterton sort of worked with us, and to a degree helped us sort of co-design B1 off our sort of merchant API.
Yeah.
And then we sort of built some stuff in partnership with them, and the combination of that is the Bitcoin payment that you can see sort of now on the vending machines.
Wow. Well, what sort of time frame are we talking here, like to get this up and running and to buy the Coke?
Look, elapsed time was probably about 6 months, to be fair. And that includes contract negotiation and all that type of stuff. We had to build the API as part of that as well. CCA was able on its end to communicate with our API. I think initial messages were days, and then probably end-to-end a couple of weeks. There's a separate process required for reconciliation and settlement. So that's a little bit more complex and requires sort of files going back to their systems that goes into SAP and all that type of stuff. But in general terms, it was sort of a few weeks, maybe a little bit more to add the settlement as well. But the delay was predominantly on our side as we built our product in partnership with them.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So, because I think when I met you first, you were part of Centrality, and now you're Centrapay. Did Centrapay come out of Centrality? Is that how it worked?
Yeah, look, it was a joint initiative between me and Centrality. So I'm a
Mm,
shareholder in Centrality Investments Limited,
mm,
which is the parent.
mm,
CIL is a shareholder in Centrapay along with myself. So still very
mm.
much part of the Centrality
Yeah,
family. I
yeah.
think there's about 25 projects now across the group, but
Oh,
this is
wow.
the one that I'm focused on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Brilliant, brilliant. I'm just going to bring up the website here just to understand more about what you guys do. So let me share the
Cool.
screen. Here we go. So this is the website here, which looks pretty neat. And looking under products, I mean, you've got like digital assets, payments, and then pocket vouchers. So digital assets, when I clicked on that, is that basically saying that people can use the Centrapay platform to create their own asset, their own digital asset?
Yeah, correct. So one of the problems um, that we're sort of seeing globally is that brands have been disintermediated from the relationship with consumers. And
Mm,
current advertising models, I think, have a limited lifespan. And so, one of the things that we've been talking to brands about, and we have a couple of prototypes on, and to a degree, a product, is the ability to turn a physical product into a digital one, or at least have a
mm,
digital twin for that physical product.
mm,
And when you turn that product into a digital one, you can essentially use that like currency to engage consumers and pull them into your ecosystem or brand. And then via our merchant acceptance network, people can transact those digital assets. So, for example, we were sort of prior to COVID talking to an airline,
mm,
and under certain situations, flights get disrupted.
yep.
And if the flight is disrupted for a particular period of time, then they
Mm,
often give a voucher as
yeah, yep.
um, you know to consumers, to get a drink or meal or similar.
Yeah, yeah.
What we were sort of well, what we've kind of built and presented was the ability for potentially that to be a digital asset that went into that bank's mobile application. So
Okay.
at the airport, there's a bunch of vending machines.
Yep.
And instead of giving someone a paper voucher, wouldn't it be better to have inside the app a notification to say, sorry about your flight disruption.
Mm,
Here is um, a vend or a refreshment on us. All you need to do is hit this button and scan the QR code on the vending machine, and you can get product out. And so it's
very nice.
very efficient, both for the consumer and the merchant, and also for
Mm,
the airline, which previously would have to get the merchants to collect a receipt, a voucher, post that back to head office. That would get
mm,
verified by a person, entered into a system, and settlement was typically some months later, and without the same level of auditability that you can get from having a fully digital sort of service. So that's one example of where you can turn a product, a physical product, into a digital one, and then use
mm.
that to transact across consumers. Or with Coca-Cola, they've got share a Coke as far as putting a name on
Yeah,
a
yeah,
Coke.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I should be able to also share a Coke with you right now. Actually, I've got a prototype I can show you next time we catch up, but I can
Yeah.
send you a Coke as easily as I can send a text message or an email. That goes into your wallet, and then you can use that to go redeem it at a vending machine or anywhere else that it's accepted.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, so you turn a physical product or service or deal for that matter, it could be a coupon,
Yeah.
into a digital one. People can transact it peer to peer or with merchants across the Centrapay network.
Oh, brilliant. Um, and then the other part on their website obviously was I think you've touched on it. The digital asset which links to the pocket vouchers is essentially what you're talking about, right? These vouchers.
Yeah, so we acquired Pocket Vouchers in 2017 as a business. They did a lot around SMS marketing. They had
Okay.
a bunch of point of sale integrations. They do a lot of redemptions for Grab One as one of their sort of reference sites and customers. And so that was V1 of our API integration with points of sale. It was also a good way to help drive consumers into merchants. So that's one of the key things for us is, the merchant is typically our customer. How can we increase foot traffic for them and reduce the cost of processing a payment? And the Pocket Voucher platform enables brands or merchants to curate campaigns and activities and loyalty programs and rewards incentives. So you could text, code to, we got a short code 393, you get a voucher on that. Well, actually, Mitre 10 is probably a better example. We put QR codes and posters in the plumbing section when they're running a campaign, and people received a $5 voucher for providing feedback on their experience. In the past, what would happen
is that happening now?
Yeah, well, it was a project we did about 6 months ago.
Oh, wow, okay.
So yeah, a lot of retailers get people to put their email address on the back of a receipt to go into a drawer to win a water blaster. And a few weeks later, they get an email saying, "Hey, tell us about your experience with the product you're looking for there, staff friendly, that type of stuff." And what they find is that not that many people put down their email address, and then when they get the feedback, because it's delayed, the quality of the insights isn't as high as it could be if it was real time. And so what we did in partnership with Yabble, and so Yabble was actually our customer, so we sat behind them in this case. They had the relationship with Mitre 10. They put an insights platform there for this bathroom promotion, and people just simply scanned a QR code. They answered 5 questions or so in a very easy, elegant kind of way, and then we sent to them a pocket voucher via an SMS message for $5 off their next purchase. And in real time, they could buy something in the store there and provide and get a discount off their product. And so what they found is the participation rate was significantly higher than the sort of
of course.
email address down.
I can imagine.
Follow the insights, because, for example, is if one of the questions was, is the aisle clean or that type of thing, people could just look around. Yep, it is, and answer it. So they didn't have to, scratch their heads a few weeks later and try and recollect, the state of the store and the service and the product and people and that type of thing. So that was a nice use case for pocket vouchers.
Wow, very nice. With the Bitcoin Coke machines, how many Coke machines around? Is it New Zealand and Australia, or just New Zealand at the moment?
It's New Zealand and Australia. On our website, there's merchant acceptance locations, and so we've put a map there with the different vending machines that have a QR code on them. Not all of their machines currently have QR codes, but they are looking to add more to them. So if you scroll down, and then on the right under documentation, there's merchant acceptance.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
And this will show a map, did you say?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, look at that. Oh, that is brilliant.
Yeah, so the plan is to start putting this kind of stuff into an API. And then any app that wants to, send a consumer, whether it's the airline I mentioned before, the Silo Smart Wallet, they can, potentially give people, some sort of, digital code or asset, and they say, this is where you can redeem it. So we're talking to one of the big brands in the, in the liquor space. Now, one of the challenges that a lot of hospitality has in New Zealand is, the price of beer at a pub now is quite dear. I drink Panhead. Generally, it's more than $10 a glass when I go to the pub. And so what the brands need to do, because the sales are sort of declining in on-premise, but maybe if I was to buy a 12-pack of Panhead at the supermarket, which I do every so often, if I got a 13th beer, which was free, but that 13th beer is a digital beer. So again, you can scan a QR code. That puts a digital beer into your Silo Smart Wallet, and then you can hit that asset, and it will tell you can go to this pub or that pub. This is the closest pub, and they will redeem this digital asset for a Panhead beer. And so that way, brands, if it was Panhead, for example, could help drive consumers to hospitality sites, which, as we know, are struggling at the moment and would really appreciate the additional foot traffic.
What sort of time frame is that to be rolled out in?
Yeah, good question. There's a couple of things we're working on now. I'd like to have
Yeah,
some of these things done by the end of the year, but
yeah,
the time frame is really going to be dictated by the brands and whether it's a priority for them and that type of stuff.
yeah.
But the
Gotcha.
platform's essentially there now to do that.
So just on screen, I can see there's one in Parramatta. So I'm going to go there one day, and I'm going to check this out.
Yeah, the airport, Sydney Airport's probably is a really good spot. If you're ever there, they've got heaps
Yeah.
of machines there.
Very nice. That is so cool. Talking about Silo Wallet, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to download this wallet. So check this out. Let me share my screen again. And I've got this this application here. So
Yep.
this is my my cell phone, and I just want to show. I'd imagine I'm just going to go to Google Play, type in Silo,
Yep.
because I believe that it's a messaging app, kind of like WhatsApp or something, as well as a Bitcoin wallet joined together.
Yeah, look, Silo is a really interesting project with massive potential, and there's a couple of different parts to it. So first off, it's confidential communication. So typically with messaging apps, they go via Facebook or similar servers in the case of WhatsApp. And in some places, there's backdoors to the messages. And what Silo does is it leverages blockchain, and in particular the Centrality blockchain SenseNet, to enable people to communicate peer-to-peer securely, and confidently, without the possibility of any third party intercepting or listening to that call or any backdoors. So that's one piece to it. There's the smart wallet where, for example, if you and I were communicating in Silo, and you could request in a message from me a digital asset or a crypto currency, or I could send one to you. So we can actually transfer value now via the messaging app, much like sending a message. So that value could be a dollar, it could be a Bitcoin, it could be one of the digital products that we sort of referred to before. They've integrated with Centrapay so that you can transact across the network by our network by simply scanning a QR code. And then the other thing that's really interesting is the Silo experience framework. So that enables potentially any company to integrate their app into Silo. And there's a couple of reasons you'd want to do that. 90% of app companies lose 90% of their users in 90 days. It's a lot of people don't want another app on their device. And if they do, if you're not on the homepage, then you're probably not that relevant. In technology, I think it's safe to say that people are fully aware and appreciate the importance of network effects. So the big companies have an unfair advantage as far as that goes. And so by connecting an ecosystem of apps within something like Silo, there's a couple of things that make it really cool. From a user's point of view, they could potentially book a taxi, make a payment, talk to their friends, do peer-to-peer transactions, and maybe provide feedback or offset their carbon or something like that. So they've got one app now that they can do everything in. And so an easy way of looking at it would be a westernized WeChat. But instead of a company like WeChat or Facebook or the super platforms taking a disproportionate cut of the revenue because of their network monopoly, Silo operates in a decentralized way so that you have an ecosystem of apps that work together to give users a really rich experience, but can also be sustainable in their own right. So if you hit the circle down the bottom right, that's where you can select the Silo experience, and other apps can be integrated within it.
Oh, check that out. CryptoKitties, Uniswap. Wow. So is Silo another product? Because you've got the Centrapay merchant solution, and then you've got the Silo wallet communication product as well.
Yeah, look, so both projects under the Centrality umbrella. To be fair,
Mm,
Silo has been around for a while. Centrality Investments Limited invested in Silo a few years
gotcha.
back to help accelerate the decentralized stuff that we're talking about today.
Mm,
The Centrapay strategy is very much focused on connecting with merchant systems, so payment
yeah.
terminals, vending machines, parking machines, points of sale, shopping carts, that type of stuff, and
Mm,
onboarding merchants, and then finding ways to deliver consumers to those merchants, increase foot traffic and reduce costs for merchants, because at the moment, the third largest cost for a business in New Zealand is credit card fees. And
mm,
so if you use Centrapay to accept payments, whether that's gift card, grab one voucher, NZD, or Bitcoin, we don't charge a percentage on the transaction, and it's all
yeah.
fully contactless. So that's what we focus on. What we don't do is try and onboard or acquire consumers. So we have
Mm,
APIs that companies like Silo or airlines or any app that wants to have payment capability within that app can integrate with, so that they can transact across our network.
gotcha, gotcha. Now I'm just looking at the app here, so I can chat with my friends here, so I can obviously add in contacts, etc. With
Correct.
the wallet, I guess I could load Bitcoins on, but in my previous experience with wallets, I normally have a seed or a seed phrase that I can back up. Is that something that I can do here as well?
Yep, there is. And you can also, if you've got MetaMask as an example, you can also use Silo as a container for other wallets as well.
Mm,
So
okay.
yeah, all of that is possible. And it's your keys, your asset. Silo
Mm.
don't act as a custodian on any of that stuff.
Okay, so if I want to buy the Coke, then I need to load Bitcoin onto this wallet, right? Um,
Correct.
I can see Silo, there's a Silo token here. Would I, and then I can see the message up here, Silo is now available on Qcoin. So
Mhm.
I'd go to an exchange, right, to get Silos.
Correct. Yeah, if you want to buy silos, then
Yeah,
the best place to do that currently would be on Qcoin.
brilliant. And then obviously if I had Bitcoin, I could also swap to Silos. What can I use Silos for?
I'm well. I'm probably better positioned to talk about Centrapay than I am
Oh, okay, gotcha.
silos. But at the moment, uh, we don't enable silos to be used to purchase products across our network.
Gotcha. Okay. Because I thought Silo was part of Centrapay, but it's part of Centrality.
Correct. Yeah. So
Gotcha.
if you think of us as, I mean, we're very much at the technical infrastructure to enable peer-to-peer stuff between the decentralized world and
Yep.
the merchant, retail, and online world for that matter.
Yep.
And so we provide the last mile plumbing for consumer apps to integrate with us, such as
Gotcha.
Silo, and the last
Yep.
mile plumbing for merchant apps, such as vending machines, points of sale. We've done some stuff with payment terminals recently
Yep.
to transact as well. And so that's currently run as a SaaS type service. But in time, we have plans to be able to do it fully peer-to-peer and take out the centralized services. But that's a bit of a long-term thing as opposed to something that's going to be done this side of Christmas.
Yeah. Gotcha. So what's in the horizon for, I guess, the rest of this year? Is it basically just creating more partnerships, trying to grow the community, the network?
No, look, we've got some pretty specific things that we're trying to do, and we look at sort of the four pillars. Financial is important. I think you need to build a sustainable business, and one that can scale profitably.
Mm,
So probably our number one goal is within 12 months to be cash flow positive. So
mm.
that's what we're sort of striving for, and we're ahead of target in that regard. So the number we're looking to achieve, we're quarter of the way there, and we started from April 1, so that's been really positive.
That's pretty good.
We want to continue to increase places where consumers can transact, and so integrations. We've got two payment terminal companies that we've done integrations with currently,
Mm,
and we've added
mm.
some more points of sale. So by the end of this year, technically, we will be able to transact across at least 80% of retailers in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And the reason I say technically is we still need to sign up those retailers as customers, but
Yeah.
that's a simple, online application form. They don't need
Yeah.
to do anything on their side, and it's something that we can enable remotely. And so I think once we've got the supply and distribution side done, what we then need to do is to provide consumers with compelling reasons to download an app like Silo, link their digital asset, or we're doing some stuff at the moment with fiat as well, so that you can do New Zealand dollar payments across our network. But you got to give them a good incentive to download that, to link it, and then to choose to pay with that, right? Because maybe there's a points. They might get 1 point for every $100 spent on credit card. Why would they prefer to use one of these services? Because yes, it's good for the merchant because they don't pay 3% on the credit card transaction. But if the consumers don't prefer to pay with this, then it doesn't really mean too much, because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is to increase the number of transactions that occur across this network. Some of these things are definitely cool and innovative, and I'm pretty precious, and I love them to bits. But if people don't use it,
exactly,
then there's no point. The gold standard in any product, and particularly in technology product, is adoption. And so that's really what our focus is driving adoption. Getting more consumers to retailers, getting more transactions done this way as opposed to credit cards, which as we know, there's a bunch of no pay wave type stickers everywhere. We want to give people a credible alternative. There's FPOS, unfortunately, is sort of dying sort of by 1,000 cuts, and so that's what we're really focused on, is really good user experiences, better business models that ultimately save merchants money.
Yeah, I think that's the key. Like you say, adoption is super important. I see on the website you've got the KFC logo and Adidas, however you want to say. So when I think of Centrapay and buying Coke with Bitcoin, the first thing in my mind is, can I go to KFC and pay? Is that what it's trying to? Is that the messaging you're trying to say?
No, look, those brands use pocket vouchers for campaigns, and we have a bunch of case studies around KFC and Adidas and so on. So that's the pocket vouchers side of business, as opposed to I guess the Centrapay side of things.
Awesome, great. Well, that was super informative. I guess if people want to get in contact with you, it's basically centrapay.com basically. And
or 021 Jerome. It's my phone number. People are welcome to.
Is that real? Because I saw you say that in on Jet for John Campbell, right?
Yeah. It just sort of came out that time. Probably shouldn't have done on national TV. I had a couple of interesting calls afterwards, but that's a phone number. It's been the phone number for 20 odd years. So always happy to chat and answer any questions people have.
021 Jerome. Did you specifically get that, or was that coincidence?
No, early on, I guess, or where some age it seems, you were able to dial a phone number, and if it didn't ring, you would just call up the telco. And so in this case, it was Bell South at that stage. I don't know, maybe it was Bell South. You could just request the number. So I dialed 021 Jerome, and it didn't ring. And so I just requested 537-663, and I've had it ever since.
Wow, that is brilliant. So 021, right?
Yeah.
That's Vodafone, isn't it? 021?
Yeah, but back then, this is in the 90s.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much for your time, Jerome. It was awesome catching up again. And
cool. Thanks, Sean.
no worries. Chat later.
Cool.
Cheers. Bye.